motivation is a lie.
Every pattern in your life repeats until you learn the lesson.
If every time it's 9 p.m. you turn on Netflix and you go over to your cupboard and you take some junk food out, like every night you're going to expect it.
The average person who's struggling, a lot of them have lost trust in themselves because their word doesn't mean much.
You can't outthink overthinking. What loops in my life, what habits do I need to break? How can I reforge and create new loops that are more positive? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house. And today we have an amazing episode planned. This is actually coming from an Instagram post that Josh shared with me recently, and there was a lot of motivation, a lot of tips, a lot of strategies, and a lot of self-improvement hacks that I feel like every single person should hear. These were very unique as well. So basically the caption had said, anyone between 18 and 35, drop some elite ball knowledge, but the topic is self-improvement. And so basically there was thousands of comments, a lot of the top rated ones with 20,000 plus likes. And I actually got some good inspiration from it and a lot of things that I wanted to implement myself, but also wanted to share with you guys today. And the first thing I came across, it is simply every pattern in your life repeats until you learn the lesson. The moment you choose differently, the loop ends and growth begins. And what I really like about this is just simply learning things and making sure it doesn't happen again, right? I think, and this happens to all of us, so many times the process repeats where we make mistakes, where, you don't learn a lesson, you don't really change, you don't really make any adjustments. And I feel like anytime something happens in my life, and I'm still not great at this, and that's why I actually really like this list, because there was a good reminder of things. I'm like, man, this is so true. This is a hard truth that I needed to hear. But the thing I gathered from this is that when something takes place, especially if it's a mistake, an error, a tragedy, anything that we can control, if you really sit down and make sure to reflect and learn from it and do everything in your power to make sure it doesn't happen again, that's self-improvement. That's when that loop starts to, stop. New habits are created, new changes are created. And this one to me was a very, very powerful thing. So once again, every pattern in your life repeats until you learn the lesson. The moment you choose differently, the loop ends and true growth begins.
Yeah, I think sometimes there's comfort in that loop. It's like being on a ride and you just follow the same path. It's familiar, it's what you've known. But a lot of the time, these loops aren't positive loops. If every time it's 9 p.m., you turn on Netflix and you go over to your cupboard and you take some junk food out, like every night you're going to expect it. And Kyle talks a lot about the power of habits. And it's funny how even from week to week, we'll just do something once or twice and you'll want to keep doing it in the back of your head, for better or for worse. So it's a good reminder to say, okay, like what loops in my life, what habits do I need to break? How can I reforge and create new loops that are more positive, that are going to become easier for me? An example for me is I like lifting at 9:30. So when I don't lift in the morning, I kind of feel weird. I kind of feel antsy. I kind of feel like I need to be getting out to the gym. And that is a good loop. That is a good positive habit, right? So that's definitely something that is awesome to identify. And I thought that was a phenomenal one. The second one to me is very near and dear. And it's that you suffer more in your head than in reality. And one thing I've really loved, and one quote that I remember really, really hit me was, you can't outthink overthinking. And in my own mind, I like to try to solve things. I like to kind of ruminate on them for better and for worse. But most often it is for worse, because a lot of the time, like if you're just stressed about something and you're overthinking it, you're suffering worse, and you're potentially suffering things that might not even happen, realities that might not even be there. And instead, you can really just like try to get out of your own head and say, okay, like, what can I do on my end to actually do something about this? How can I put myself in a good position, let things take its course, and understand to respond? And especially if you're someone who really likes to think of worst outcomes ever, maybe you do it as a way to kind of prepare yourself, but a lot of time they don't end up happening and you end up suffering in your head more in advance of it. So instead, for me, I've really tried to think of, am I doing what I need to do? Am I really trying to control for what I can control for? And then leaving things and really just try not to overly stress myself out and just to focus instead on what's in front of me.
Yeah, and I love this next one. I feel like they go pretty hand in hand here, talking about suffering once more here, but it is simply action ends suffering. And I absolutely love this because it is so, taking action is so underrated. Like a lot of people, once again, think a lot, they plan a lot, they'll strategize a lot, but I truly believe like the second you just decide to take action, everything ends up becoming solved. And this could be as we were talking, for better, for worse. But at the same time, you've started to take action, you've started to implement. And I just truly believe, instead of having all these things built up and having a lot of things going on where, a lot of people also have that false reality of, hey, I'm going to be putting in work. I'm going to start my journey next week. Like, you just give yourself that false kind of reality that you're actually doing something. It feels like you're doing something. So I just truly believe every single person, if we just started to take more action on our fitness journey, in our life, with our habits, with our relationships, with whatever it is that we're striving for, I believe we'll end up becoming better people. We will have a lot of better things going on in our life. And I just am such a fan of taking action. And to me, that's one of the most underrated things to this day.
Yeah, and on top of that, another one that was shared was, by the time you have a perfect plan, it's too late. And this was a great add-on to Kyle's one. We really believe in imperfect action. I think in general, if you put things off and you're like, I'll only go to the gym once I know how to do every form correctly, once I know I'm on the most optimized, perfect routine ever to exist, and it's a perfect gym, or the gym that's built in 2 years. And oftentimes it ends up being too late, or you end wasting so much time. Whereas if you just get in there and try to figure it out and did it imperfectly, you would be so much better off. So instead of just planning and getting like mental reinforcement and dopamine from you just trying to plan about the things you're gonna do, what you'll do one day, just start taking action, similar to what Kyle literally just said, because action will end suffering, right? If you're overweight and you don't know exactly what to do to lose weight, like, just take some action. Go out on a 2-minute walk. Like, that's a win for you, and you can stack those wins and you can get better, and you'll make mistakes, but you learn their mistakes and you'll learn what not to do. And instead, you'll learn what to do, and you'll learn what works for you, and you'll forge a schedule. So this is a big one to me. So by the time you have a perfect plan, it's too late.
Yeah, and some of these will overlap, but I truly believe every single thing here will be a great lesson learned. There'll be some things you're like, okay, I already do. There'll be some things that you want to do. There'll be some that you'll want to do in the future. But once again, there will never be a perfect time. And even Josh recently, he's like, there'll be some times we'll be like, hey, we're going to go plan something with someone. And he was just like, immediately, he's like, how's tonight? How's tomorrow? Like, just do it, right? Because we all know the amount of things that are just on the top of our head. And I feel this way. I feel bothered. I feel like there's like a stuff hanging on the top of my head when it's like all this like big to-do list. I'm going to do this. I'm going to reach out to this person. And I've been really trying to become better at this and become more decisive. And I'm like, hey, I want to shoot this person a message. How's their kid going? Shoot them a message. It doesn't need to be tomorrow. I'm not going to wait till 2 weeks till their birthday. Just start doing it. And that is so underrated. Next up, I absolutely love this one. It is very simple, but also quite complex. Sit and observe. Everything has a pattern. People, problems, situations, and even life itself. The moment you crack the pattern, everything begins to change. And simply observation itself will change outcomes. So what I really gathered from this one is just simply being aware of what's going on, being aware of the things around you, being aware of the different patterns, the different loops, the different things that are going on. I think it is so easy just to go through life and just operate with our head down, just, hey, here's what I need to do, here's what I should do. And, once again, it's great to create the habits, it's great to create the systems, and I truly believe in that. But I do think if we just pay a little bit more attention, and even the concept of sitting and observing, I don't really do that a whole lot. I find I pretty much fixate on the things that I know and, what's in front of me and stuff like that. But I feel like I could do a better job of just like being aware of more of these different patterns and taking notes of that to see how I can plan my next move and just attack what else is in front of me. So I just thought this was quite a great tip there. And I wanted to share this one today.
Yeah, even for me, I think it's really easy to give other people advice and to hear them out and listen to their life and say, okay, here's what you need to change. You're messing up here, fix this. But it's very hard to do with ourselves. So I think similar to this, you can observe other things and find habits and patterns, or other people, and say, like, I know 5 people who are the most fit 5 people I know. What do they do? Right. And you look at them and you're like, okay, they still go out, they still eat fun foods, but they're just consistent. They're in the gym every day. I notice all 5 of them track their food. Like, you can start to draw things and you can start to use that knowledge. And when I first got into fitness, that's what I did. I'd just watch a ton of YouTube videos, read a ton of articles, look for similarities, tried things through trial and error, and it can be a really good tool. And especially in our own life, if we notice, like, every Friday I screw up because I get bored and I don't know what to do, and I have a ton of chips in my cabinet and they're just there tempting me, or I have DoorDash on my phone, it's like, delete DoorDash. Like, you can find very obvious solutions that you would tell other people. If you're like, oh, I just can't stop ordering on DoorDash, and then obviously like a good friend would be like, well, why don't you just delete the app? And you'd be like, oh, good point, right? right? Like, whereas sometimes with ourselves, we never want to say those things. So these are good things you can do and you can establish those patterns. And the next one's a big one, and that is working on nervous system regulation. So in general, it's a fancy way of saying, obviously, limit the stress on you as a human. So get better sleep, work to not overstimulate ourselves. And I think more than ever, we are stimulating ourselves. We go from task to task, dopamine to dopamine. If we're bored for a millisecond, we pull out Instagram, we start scrolling reels. We don't even know why we're doing it. We're ordering things, we're buying clothes online, we're rushing to the next thing. We're talking about some celebrity's life. It's very easy for it just to be ping, 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 ping. And then for us to be really stressed with a lot going on, and people want to de-stress, and they'll result to overeating, drinking, different things that aren't actually going to help. So instead, you can regulate your nervous system by getting a good lift, going on walks, limiting stimulus in your life, and maybe saying, okay, I'm going to tune into the news less. I'm going to do less reels. I'm going to try to just spend more time being present and aware. And a great way to do that is meditation as well. So there's a lot of different areas in your life. And I think if you can begin to regulate your nervous system a bit, minimize stress, take care of yourself, do some self-care, do some breath work, it makes such a big difference in your life.
And what's crazy is people will go from like screen to screen to screen. Like, you'll be watching the news and then you're like, let me scroll Instagram, and then let me go watch this Netflix show. And then like you'll have multiple going at once. And like, I'll talk to these people who are struggling, and they're like, that's what they'll do. And then they have a lot of work stuff, and they're so overwhelmed, and they're wondering like, and they don't have any of this extra stuff that Josh mentioned. There's no meditating, there's no journaling, there's no walking, there's no workouts. And they're wondering why like their life it feels like it's not working. And there's so much of that, they call it dopamine maxing, and it just never ends. And it's a endless cycle of one thing to another. And so, oh man, this is something that most people need to work on, truthfully speaking. Next up is, if you say something, do it. If you can't do it, don't say it. So I am such a fan of just doing what you say, like just being fully honest, and just when you say you're going to do something, just do it. I think in a world where just like, you've heard us talk a lot about action today, and I just really believe, and I've heard the saying before, action alleviates anxiety, and I really believe it as well. We talked about action and ending suffering, but I just think in a world where so many people say they're going to do stuff and they just love talking about it, right? I just think it's so important to really make your word mean something, right? If you're someone who says, I'm going to go to the gym, be that person that goes to the gym. If you tell your friend you're going to show up at a certain time, be the person that shows up at a certain time, right? But if there's something that you can't do, there's also nothing wrong with saying, hey, I can't do it this week. Hey, this task that is required, I'm going to have to do it next week. I'm just overloaded and overwhelmed. I heard this from a speech. I think it was like a Matthew McConaughey speech. And I just remember in the first minute, he just popped off on this. And I can hear this in his words, but in his own voice, sorry. But I just think this is such an important thing to just really make your word mean something. The average person who's struggling, a lot of them have lost trust in themselves because their word doesn't mean much. They said they're going to start this week. They said they're going to eat healthier. They said they're going to go to the gym and sign up and just like commit, and they haven't. So they start to lose trust. And if you can believe every word you say is going to be true, and it will come true, and you'll put your best foot forward, you'll have so much more confidence. You'll get way better results, and you'll just be a happier and more fulfilled person in general.
Next up, we have motivation is a lie. So we talked about this in detail on the Monday episode. So if you haven't listened to that, make sure to listen to that, because we got pretty in detail with this one. And we love motivation, right? Of course we do. This Motivation Monday, but I do think there's a dark side to motivation. There's an over-reliance on it. Instead, you want to work to build discipline, and you want to work to have systems to help support that. And if you want to hear a little bit more about this, make sure you tune into Monday.
Yeah. Next up, simply put yourself in hard situations and figure it out later. So years and years ago, we heard the quote, commit now and figure out the rest later. And I just feel like it is so powerful. You will spend a lot of time, as we've talked today, about overthinking, of putting things off. And there have been multiple things that I feel like I haven't been ready for, but I'm so grateful that I did it. When you start early, like even Josh said for number 4, by the time you have the perfect plan, it's too late. And I truly believe that, because if you're trying to build the perfect plan and system, oftentimes it'll never get done, or it will be too late. And so that's where, if you can put yourself and throw yourself into a situation where it might be scary, it might be challenging. The truth is, you end up usually figuring itself out. You end up working itself out. And it just, to me, that is the best way to approach things. And that's not to say you should never have a bit of a strategy or a bit of a plan, but I really believe that we're so used to doing things that are 100% comfortable and we never do things that are out of our comfort zone. I just see the average person just being scared of that. And if you can kind of start to feel like, hey, you know what, this is a little bit scary for me. And even for coaching clients, when they're ready to begin, some of them will have that bit of a feeling like, oh man, I'm a bit nervous. Like it can be a little bit scary because it's something different. But the truth is, when you're doing something that's uncomfortable, when you're doing something that you feel like you're a little bit nervous about, that's a good sign. That's a sign that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. And I feel like most people these days, they stay within this box that they're taught to stay within. They don't do things that are scary. They don't do things that, they're uncomfortable with. And then they never learn. They never figure it out. But along the way, you'll figure it out and be like, you know what? Hey, and worst case, it may have not been the right choice to do something and to tackle a project or tackle a task, but you've learned something, and that you can't be afraid of failing is what I'm trying to get at. So I really like this specific tip here.
Yeah, and the last piece of sage wisdom we have from the community on Instagram is start today. Start now. Don't wait for Monday, the first of the month, or the new year. Just start now. And we talk about this a lot. Imperfect action is the best type of action. And the best thing you can do is just bite off more than you can think you can chew and figure out how to chew it. I know this sounds like an oversimplification, but whatever it is you've been putting off, the concept of just do it is key, because like I said, imperfect action is better than you overthinking it, trying to create a perfect plan. If there's something you want to do, if you want to lose that weight, hit that new PR, create that new habit, now is your chance to do it. And if you want us to be on your team one-on-one, right there with you, guiding you through this, giving you the best resources, the best training plan, the best nutrition, the best accountability, the best coaching, we will make that happen for you. And you can learn more about our coaching and how we will actually personally be your one-on-one coaches, face-to-face, take great care of you. Check out our website, colossusfitness.com, because you deserve results. You deserve to level up. And I want to help you do that. But I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I think it was a really fun one. It was great giving our thoughts on some of these amazing snippets of wisdom. You can obviously save these, copy them over to a notepad, whatever works best for you. We have everything listed down below in the show notes. But thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.